Hello, I'm Karen Stroud, Director of Community Relations for the Douglas County School System. Welcome to Dot Edu.
Welcome to this edition of Dot Edu. I'm Kellie Hunter, Communications Director with the City of Douglasville. Welcome to the CITI TV studios, and with us today is Dr. Gordon Pritz. Doctor, good to have you here with us.
Good to see you, Kellie, as always.
Our superintendent for our school system, and this edition we're going to take the opportunity to talk about some of the things that are happening with the Douglas County school system.
Great.
I think the first thing we're kind of coming up with a list of a few things is you just had a successful event for the school system back in November.
We did. We were, of course, the citizens know that back in November we took a referendum to the voters to consider a continuation of the 1-cent sales tax for education. And we are very excited to say that that passed with a 63% passage rate, and we are very grateful to the citizens for considering that and then showing their affirmation for our schools by passing that.
Showing a great support for better education within the community here as well.
Certainly as a demonstration of that education is important,
yes,
and that the citizens are willing to support it through that penny tax.
And we do know that education is one of the hot topics during our political season right now, overall as a local community, a state, as well as a nation. And so that is a good thing to say. You know, thank you to the viewers and the supporters here within the county saying yes to that. Yes,
we're very grateful, and on behalf of the school board and myself, we appreciate the support of the voters with our Spliced referendum.
Well, looking with a Spliced referendum, how does that actually come into play, and what are some of the things that you'll be moving forward with that?
Well, the penny sales tax is, we are allowed to use it for renovations and improvements to our school facilities, new facilities. We can use it for instructional resources, and we can also use it to pay off bond indebtedness. And so the school board made a pledge before the vote that 50% of the proceeds over the next 5 years will go towards payment of our bond indebtedness that we have. So 50% will go towards that. So that should allow us to reduce some millage rate incrementally over the next 5 years, which is always good news for property owners.
Great news.
And then we will look at some renovation needs in some of our older schools over the next 5 years. We don't feel like we need any new school buildings, so that allows us to refrain from taking out additional loans, which is a good thing because those also impact the property owner's millage rate, so that's good news. And then we are excited about what the additional penny will bring to our district in terms of technology upgrades and purchases, as well as other teaching resources such as textbooks and e-books and those types of things. And
just keeping the advanced technology level of our school system hopefully on the cutting edge.
Right. Very important for our kids that they're 21st century kids, and we need to meet them with what they're used to in terms of technology. And so many of our kids have access to technology at home, and certainly we all know that when they get into the workplace or on into college, they're going to need to be able to be very adept at use of technology. And so this additional monies will allow us to put in our schools the technology that we need to serve our students.
And I imagine you guys have an in-depth project list probably already designated. Is that by school and looking at facilities and needs?
We do. We actually developed that list about 7 to 8 months out from the vote, and so that list was very defined, and each school was a participant in that list in terms of submitting needs that they had at their individual schools, and then we did an assessment across the district. And we developed a very specific project list that we posted on our website and shared with the voters, so they knew exactly when they went to vote what they were voting for. And so our hope is over the next 5 years that those projected monies will come in as we've projected, and should they come in that manner, then we'll be able to complete that project list that we've developed.
And eSpliced is always a great program in that the additional monies that come in is not necessarily always from the core base of the community. It can be from the outside surrounding areas as far as different counties and people living in different areas that come in and use the services and shop and spend monies here within our county. That's how that 1 cent comes back around.
One of the beauties of the eSpliced is that it is number one, a pay-as-you-go, so we're not taking on any new debt, and others help us with it that don't necessarily live in our county. So as they come and visit the mall or pass through on I-20 and stop off at a restaurant or gas station, then they're helping build our schools and renovate and provide technology for our kids. So yeah, that's a big plus for that funding mechanism.
Very good. Well, let's transition to another thought. I know that just recently Douglas County was highlighted in, was it a magazine?
We were, I think you may be referring to the top workplaces, possibly.
Top workplaces, yes sir, correct.
We were, last spring we were selected as one of the top 20 workplaces, best workplaces by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and in the large organizations category, and we were the only public school system in the state that was named to that category. So we're proud of that, and that's a tribute to our administrators and our principals, and certainly a tribute to our employees, the teachers and the support staff. It was done through a survey opportunity, and we had over 1,400 of our employees participate in that survey, which was over 40% of our employees. So based on that anonymous input that they gave, the AJC made the evaluation of all the applicants or all the participants, and we were one of the top 20.
Well, and with that, knowing that you have a great workforce, they're excited to be in their positions. They have a great environment in which to teach and educate, help the student base learn. There's also a component to that we're going to transition into, and that's the accreditation process and the accreditation standards that school systems are upheld to.
Right.
Where does Douglas County stand with that process?
Well, we are an accredited school system through the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, SACS as we usually refer to it, and as probably most people know of it.
Right?
Sometimes it's in the news for not so good things, but they do accredit school districts across the country, in the Southeast in particular. And we received our last district accreditation in 2007, and so that is good for 5 years, and so our 5-year period is up, and so they'll be making a return visit to our school district in March, and we hope to achieve district reaccreditation through that process in March.
What are some of the things that you do in preparation for that? I guess looking back on the 2007 accreditation, there might have been, I'm presuming here that there might have been some recommendations or some variances that the school system needed to address or look at. Does that play a part in where you guys are in your process now?
It does. The SACS accreditation process has 7 standards that we work towards. It's based on the 3 pillars of accreditation, as they refer to them, and high standards is one of them, and so we have to set our standards extremely high in terms of our expectations for our students and certainly our expectations for our staff. We also are charged with evaluating those standards and to continually look for ways to improve. The old idea that if you're not improving, then you're going backwards. And so with those 7 standards and the continuous improvement as the 2 key elements of that, and then the third being that we're looking for quality assurance across the district, that there's a common vision and a common direction of all 33 of our schools, and then we provide the support to those schools to achieve. And we have we're very blessed to have a tremendous teaching staff, which our teachers are the key to our success. They're the most important person in the school system, in my opinion, and they work very, very hard. We ask a lot of them. They ask a lot of themselves, just by the nature of being a teacher. And so we depend greatly on that teacher being the one that makes the difference. And so we look at the accreditation process as an opportunity for us to kind of show what we're doing and kind of show off a little bit, we think. We think we have some great things and a great story to tell. So we will, and we've been working on this for about 8 to 9 months and putting this whole accreditation process together. We developed 7 different committees that looked at each of the 7 standards. We did an open survey opportunity for a random selected stakeholders across the district. That would be teachers and administrators and parents and students. And we take that input and we put it all together and we evaluate ourselves over those 7 standards. And then the accreditation team will come in and they will look at our self-evaluation. They will be here for 3 days in late March, and they will give us their assessment of our self-assessment to see if they agree in the way we ranked ourselves. They may, we hope they'll point out some commendations on what we're doing, but we also expect there'll be some recommendations on some things we can do to do better. That's part of that continuous improvement model. And so we look forward to the opportunity. It's always a little bit nerve-wracking in getting ready for it when you have folks from outside your county coming in to look at you. But they will come from around the state of Georgia and really around the country. And we hope that they will take back with them some great ideas that they've seen here in Douglas County when they return to their districts. So we're looking forward to that opportunity late March, and we'll have a number of people that will be involved in that, not just our staff. They'll interview and talk with hundreds and hundreds of people during that 3-day visit.
I think when you and I were talking earlier, you said that it is an evaluation process for the entire school district, the 33 schools that are involved in that, but the team won't visit all 33 schools. They'll have a selected handful. Right. Thereabouts. How do they determine which schools, or do you know which schools ahead of time?
It's pretty much a random selection. We give them a kind of a rubric of our schools breakdown in terms of demographics, AYP data, free and reduced lunch numbers, and then they will randomly select, trying to get a cross-section of schools. They'll pick 8 schools. We should receive those names of those schools any day, and we will inform those schools, and then they will do the final preparation for that visit. They will also talk with every principal and of every school. They will talk with our board members. They'll talk with me. They'll talk with many members of my staff. We'll have parents that will come in, and they'll meet and talk with parents and students. They'll visit those 8 schools. They'll be in the classroom. They'll talk to students as well. So it's a very thorough 3-day visit. We will provide them a lot of artifacts that back up our self-assessment, things that we're doing in our district, our student achievement data. So there's a lot of work that goes into preparing for that 3-day visit that we actually, like I said, started on about 7-8 months ago. And
so after their 3-day visit, how long before you possibly will know the results?
They will actually give us kind of an initial evaluation before they leave. They'll be here Sunday through Wednesday, and Wednesday afternoon they'll meet with our school board in a formal meeting, and they'll give their initial assessment of their visit. And then they'll provide for us within 6 weeks afterwards a very thorough written assessment of what they've seen with the recommendations and commendations. So it's a very thorough process, and they used to do it, Southern Association of College and Schools used to do an individual school visit, but about 10 years ago they went to a district-wide accreditation. So it's very important. It's very important that our schools are accredited, that our students graduate from accredited high schools. That allows them to qualify for the Hope Scholarship, so it's very critical. And we hope to demonstrate that there's a lot of good things going on in Douglas County schools.
Well, I'm believing with you and hoping to see the excellent report and high standard markings for you and your team and your full staff and school system here.
Thank you.
That'll be great.
We're cautiously optimistic.
I was going to say, and it's not a little bit of stress at all right now.
Not at all.
Not at all prepping. It is kind of good that you have the heads up, though, that
Right.
which schools they'll be visiting directly, and as well as that time frame ahead of time. So, but I know you and your staff very well prepared, it sounds like, and we're right on target.
We are looking forward to the opportunity.
Very good. Well, as we're moving forward with this conversation and this forum here today for the school board to kind of let our audience know what else is going on within the county, you've also been working with what you've called district advisory groups. You've established a couple of those and some goals and outlines for those advisory groups. Can we kind of switch gears here and talk about those? Because I'm sure that these advisory groups probably have helped in the preparation as well for the SACS accreditation and other things throughout the school board.
Most certainly. We do have some groups of various stakeholders that I meet with regularly. Some of these were established by Mr. Remillard, the previous superintendent, and I have continued his work. One group being a teachers advisory committee. I meet with the 32, 33 teachers of the year three or four times a year, and we come together and I have some items for them that I share, and then we have some items for me that they share, and then we just have some good open dialogue and conversation, and it serves as a good sounding board for me. I try to get out in the schools quite a bit, and I do talk with teachers as often as I can. That group serves, and those are certainly some of our very best teachers, so their feedback, their input, their opinion are very important. We also have a couple of student advisory groups. I meet with elementary students a couple of times a year, one from each school that the principal selects, and then also one from each of our 5 high schools and 8 middle schools. So I have a elementary group and then a middle and high school group. And then finally I have a principals advisory group. We have regular monthly meetings with all our principals, but I meet with 7 of our principals, and they're kind of on a 2-year rotation to serve on that. And we just have some very candid conversations about district initiatives, direction, and get their input on those kind of things that are very important to them. And then the most recent one that I'm getting ready to kick off is a community stakeholder group. This will be made up of parents and other community businessmen and stakeholders. I've gotten suggested names from principals across the district, and I'll be pulling this group together for the very first time the end of February. It'll be about 30 folks to start off with, and again, an opportunity for me to sit down and talk candidly with folks about the district and how we're doing, where we're going, and talk to them about some of our initiatives and hear from them their input on those initiatives or other things that they may have questions about or thoughts on. So it's a great opportunity for me to just have some one-on-one conversation with a group, and them to have some one-on-one time with the superintendent, which I think is very important. That communication piece in a large organization is very difficult, and so try to break it down into smaller bits to make it more effective. And then I would point out one more group that I don't think I mentioned when you and I were talking earlier, and we have kicked off this year a diversity committee.
Okay.
And we have about 12 people serving on that. It includes some teachers. It includes, in terms of employees, it includes some teachers, some classified employees, some custodians, some cafeteria workers, clerical workers. And then we have a couple of parents on there and representation from the Chamber of Commerce. And this is an organization, a group that looks at the challenge of meeting the needs of our diversity in our school system. And so we talk about what are some of the policies, what are some of the initiatives that we need to look at and talk about to embrace our diversity and use it as a strength, because I truly believe it is in any district such as ours. So we started that group in the late fall, and we're progressing with that group, and we'll actually be doing an introduction of this group to our school board at the next school board meeting in February.
Well, it sounds like a very busy time frame, very full plate, and I guess the question would be, it's almost like how would you be able to do your daily functions as superintendent with all of this going on too as well. So there's a really great things happening. It sounds like a great way, like you're saying, to find out exactly what are some of maybe the key issues, the key areas to look at, and then filtering down that communication to other, your stakeholders, your teachers, your principals, to keep that communication flow going.
Right.
Both directions, I guess.
It's very important that communication is two-way, and that it's also very open and receptive to the input that we receive as far as making our district better.
Okay. If there are some viewers that are a little bit more interested in any of the advisory committees, as far as is there a contact person or
if they are a parent, they could contact their child's principal.
Okay.
If they are not a parent, they can contact my office, and we've got that meeting set for the end of the month in February, and we look to possibly add to that group of 30 over time, so that it is very representative of our community.
Sure, and you always have to start with a core base to begin with. So. Great success for the group starting off in February. You guys are busy within the school district, the school board there, addressing a lot of things. We have a good school system, an excellent school system, and when you hear the comments and the processes you have in place, the programs and the initiatives, it only just reconfirms why we're so successful as a school system here.
We've got a lot of good people that work very, very hard, and we've got a lot of parents who are very supportive of their children. And so when you put that combination together, it makes for a great school system, and we're trying to be just that and trying to get better all the time.
Well, and a lot of people think that the school system just operates during the school season, per se, from early August, mid-August to May, June, along in there. But there's some summer things that are happening too, and you mentioned some summer projects and renovations, those kind of things that will be happening, as well as I guess your school staff and administration there year-round.
Right, right. We have, obviously we have some summer school, and we have summer camps that go on in our schools in terms of instruction, so that's very important. We also have renovations that we do in the summer. That's really our only window of opportunity in the summer months, so we have about a 7-week period there where we are furiously at work with trying to get things done, and so we'll be doing some renovations at a couple of our schools this summer, at Turner Middle School and at Fairplay Middle School. They'll see some major renovations take place there on the insides of those schools, and we'll also be doing some renovative work at Lithia Springs High School. We did some there last summer, and we'll kind of do phase 2 this summer at Lithia Springs, which had some major needs in terms of their infrastructure. So those are some big projects for us, and of course those are possible through the East Blast dollars that we talked about earlier.
Right. Well, like I said, a great school system. I believe we have a great superintendent in charge.
Oh, thanks.
And thanks to the teachers and the staff that help make the school system what it is.
They're the ones that make it go.
Any closing comments for today's program?
Well, we just always appreciate the opportunity you give us to come and talk about our schools and to keep our parents and our public informed. That's very important to us. I encourage anybody to go to our website and visit that website to get more detailed information. We try to keep that website current and up to date, and we try to take input from the public on things they see or would like to see on there. So that's a work in progress, and we're always trying to make it better, and always a great source of information.
All right. Well, Dr. Pritz, thank you for joining us today on Dot Edu, and for all the information that you've shared with us.
Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it.
All right. And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Dot Edu.